Hey, sorry for the delay, guys.
It's all right. Yeah, any more updates on Kaiser and then Vaughn and any other new injuries?
Yeah, I think Kaiser will miss will miss a couple weeks. I'm not sure on Vaughn yet. He has an ankle sprain. I think the next 4 or 5 days will tell us exactly where he's at. Who's the other one?
Any new injuries?
Purcell has a thumb injury that they're still deciding on what to do with. He could miss a couple weeks.
Vic, you said last night that you got to coach better as a staff. As you look at your guys in that room, do you see any blind spots that they're not covering enough details with their position groups that are concerning?
What's most concerning is, our fundamentals were lacking in that game, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And when that's lacking, that's poor coaching on our part, and that starts with me. And we've got to do a better job of getting the fundamental things taught and executed.
What besides tackling, is that assignments, lining up? What goes into that?
No, not so much the assignments and lining ups. It's being where you're supposed to be at all times and being there for the different type of plays. They run the stretch play, you got to stay in your gap. They run a boot play, you got to be there for the boot. You got to have good eyes, and be disciplined when you play a team that's good with the boot game, good with the screen game, good with the play action game, and we didn't get that done well enough.
Coach, do you think Von Miller put too much pressure on himself coming into this game with the statements he had earlier in the week?
Maybe he did. I think you'd have to ask him that,
What did you think as a coach about him going out on a limb like that?
Yeah, well, my style's always been not to say very much, do your talking on the field. It's not my style.
Jonathan Cooper had a couple near big plays yesterday. What'd you evaluate him, and just so far this season, how'd you evaluate him?
Yeah, I thought he came in there when he got to play a lot when Vaughn went out that he did a pretty good job. He came loose a couple times in the rush, got too high on the tackle where he could have sacked the quarterback there, backed up, prior to the half. He's got to stay in the strike zone. Thought he could play the edge a little bit better, more consistently. But overall, for a young guy thrown in there, pretty much full time in the second half, I thought he did fine.
How about Curtis Robinson? You talked a little bit about him on Friday or earlier in the week. How do you feel like he did being thrown into the fire there?
He did okay. Wasn't good enough. But, our whole defense wasn't good enough yesterday. And, and he was part of our whole defense.
You had a lot of injuries.
For a long time.
Excuse me.
You've been doing this for a long time. The outside nose is growing. Do you feel pressure on yourself in terms of doing a better job to get this season back on track in terms of your own status, your coach's status?
Yeah, I'm not worried about my coaching status. What I'm worried about is this team and doing anything and everything we can to get our guys coached up to play better. And that's my only focus.
You guys have had a lot of linebacker injuries. Kaiser's the latest. We have to look outside the organization to bring somebody else in here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, George and his staff is, looking at that.
How do you
You've
prevent
had a lot of
yourself?
soft tissue injuries. Do you look at Lando's operation and see if there's anything that can be tweaked there? Do you look at it like you look at anything else in your team?
Yeah, we look at everything. I mean, as you guys know, we took a deep dive on the injuries this offseason. We've done anything and everything we can to mitigate injuries. We haven't mitigated them enough, obviously. But we do look at it constantly, yes.
How do you make sure that you don't put too much excuse on all the injuries that are happening, specifically with the team and an inside linebacker?
Yeah, there's no excuses with injuries. It's part of the game. We're not the only team in the NFL that has injuries. Next man up mentality. Us as coaches has got to get those guys ready to play and play good.
Vic, I know bye weeks can be a lot of self-scouting, but with it being a mini bye, will you guys maybe do a little more self-scouting and see about changing things operationally or coaching responsibilities or anything?
Yeah, we'll take these few days to self-scout for sure. And we'll take a look at everything moving forward.
Is the expectation?
Any new ideas, changes, anything like that in light of the slump?
In regards to what?
Well, operationally with the coaching staff, working with the players?
Yeah, no, not at this
Trying
time.
to inspire, I guess?
Well, we always try and do a better job of inspiring them. I don't have a problem with our efforts or our intents. We just have to do a better job of coaching these guys to be more fundamentally sound.
Hey, Vic, in your past, when you guys have hit a rut on defense at your various stops, do you get out of it with lineup changes, or do you simplify the scheme to fit with the available personnel?
Yeah, there's 3 things you can do. You alluded to 2 of them. 1, lineup changes. 2, simplify. Or 3, when you have a bunch of guys go down, recreate. And, the recreates are usually short-lived with success. We just have to do what we do better.
Is the expectation that Jerry Jeudy will definitely be back in the starting lineup on next game against
Yeah, I
Washington?
think the expectation is he will play this game. He was medically cleared to play this past game. He wanted to play. We didn't think it was prudent to play him with no practice.
What do you think the biggest thing he'll do for the offense is when he's back on the field with the attention that he draws?
Well, it's just another good player out there. And the more good players you have out there, the better chance you have. And he's definitely a good receiver, runs good routes, can get open, and we're looking forward to having him back.
What have you seen from?
Go ahead, Jeff.
You've always been very sort of detail focused.
Right.
When the disconnect happens, what is it? Are they not hearing the message, or delivery, or what do you think happens in those cases?
I think it's a lot of things, but I think some of it too is guys start to press, when things aren't going right, and maybe try and do too much and fudge a little bit here and there, and we constantly have to fight against that.
When you look, you said last night Teddy's the quarterback. When you look at his play over the last 3 or 4 weeks, does he still look similar to how he did the first 3 weeks? And if not, how do you get him back to playing at that level?
Yeah, I think he does. Obviously, he's been didn't finish the Baltimore game right. Got banged around last week. Was a little hobbled this week, but I thought he put together a courageous effort and was out there playing. And I still see the same player. We just have to play better as a team, And then other guys, everybody's performance will look a little better.
Have you had
If we can get off the field quicker on defense, we give the offense more opportunities. If we can convert some third downs, we get more opportunities on offense. If we can run it and throw it better on the early downs, we get more opportunities. So it's a team-wide issue right now, and once we can rectify some of that, everybody else's performance will look better.
Have you talked to George at all? Just had a big deep dive discussion, and anything you can share?
Yeah, I've talked to George, talked to John, talked to Joe. Yeah, we've talked, and all very constructive and productive, and we all want the same thing. We want to get this team back to winning.
Do you anticipate Albert O returning to practice next week?
Yes.
And then, is it usually, do you still like having a week of practice and then playing?
We'll see where he's at. There was some hope when he first got hurt that he would only miss 2 games, but with the third game being a Thursday game, we put him on IR for that. He wouldn't have been able to play last night if we didn't IR him. And we'll see where he's at this week. Hopefully he'll be good.
Surtain had a couple of pass breakups last night and another good coverage down the field. What's impressed you most?
Yeah, his coverage was very good last night, and it's been good all season. He's a very impressive player. We got to get him tackling better against the run. The run defense is an 11-man operation, and we got to get all 11 in sync.
With the pass rush, what do you think needs to improve there, especially over these last 4 games that you look at?
Well, we got to do a better job against the run to get more pass rush opportunities. They had 6 3rd and 1s and 2 3rd and 2 or 3s. Those aren't ideal pass rush situations. So when you're struggling against the run, it has an avalanche effect on everything, and pass rush is one of them.
Where's that balance when you're struggling to make sure guys are taking it personally, but you don't want to browbeat them either when you're on a 4-game losing streak? create, where guys are demoralized. I guess, what is that balance as a coach?
It's a fine line. There's a bunch of fine lines you have to deal with when you're coaching, especially in today's game. And hopefully we as a staff will manipulate that fine line the right way.
Vic, was the plan going in to only play Kyle Fuller if a medical reason dictated?
Yeah, right now we're playing Pat and Darbs at corner.
Vic, when you look at the interception that Teddy threw, do you think he could step into his throw? Was his health affecting the deeper throws?
I didn't think so on that particular play. I think what happened on that play, it was 3rd and 9, and they had a coverage where the intermediate stuff was covered, and he didn't want to check it down, and he got aggressive and went for it, and the safety fell back there.
I thought I saw Curtis Robinson talking to the trainers.
Yeah, he hurt his thumb and wrist a little bit, yes. Don't know his status.
Just last one on Purcell. If he has surgery, does that mean he's definitely out for a bit, or could he play with that, with the thumb injury? Mike Purcell.
You know, the way it was explained to me today, they're not sure. But in either case, whenever he does play with it, he'll have a cast on his hand.
Thank you, Vic.
Which for a D lineman is rough. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Vic.